All right, we can piece this together.
Okay.
I feel confident in our ability to make.
And then next
something
week we have Greg on,
Yeah.
so we can kind of touch on that. We got a special guest coming on.
And as always, Jake R does nothing to help with episodes.
Nope. And I never will. Podcast about bourbon and the ones who drink it. This is Bourbon Matters. Welcome to Bourbon Matters. I'm Jake.
I'm Dan.
And I'm Gold Eagle Jake.
Jeez, you always clear your throat before we start, so I thought I had time to take a sip. You're like, didn't even do it this time.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
you do usually.
You always,
I'll start over.
No. Yeah, I just had to put my whiskey down really quickly.
Welcome to Bourbon Matters. I'm Jake.
I'm Dan.
Nah, you ruined it.
So tonight we got some more news stories coming through. Kind of been a busy news week. So we're going to touch on RNDC filing for bankruptcy in Texas. We'll get into what?
They filed in Texas, but it's for all their
the whole company,
states, yeah.
Which is a big deal. We'll talk about that, and then talking about Sazerac's new unsolicited offer to buy out Brown-Forman and Brown-Forman's rejection of that offer. So we'll get into that as well. So I think it's been a long time. We were trying to remember the last time we talked about the 3-tier system. So Jake, do you want to give us a quick rundown for those who are not familiar with the 3-tier system? Then we'll jump into this RNDC story.
Yes. So every state is a little different. Certain states are, state controlled, liquor stores, yada, yada, yada. But all
Utah.
super state controlled.
Yeah.
But all the liquor laws and jurisdictions and everything to do with how this is all set up was written right after Prohibition ended in 1933, and almost nothing has changed. A lot of these things were set up in a way that could probably make a lot more sense if we made some changes now, but that's just not how it works. The liquor industry with that side of things moves very, very slowly. And it's mostly set up to make sure the government gets all their tax money. So why would they want to adjust it? But we're going to be talking about Illinois. We'll be talking about the whole country, but kind of focusing on Illinois a little bit because this is what I know the best. And most states are run just like Illinois, where you have your distributors. The brands have to sign on with a distributor who represents and sells their brands to the liquor stores. So there's nowhere in the country where the liquor store, I think maybe DC.
DC is real weird.
Yeah, DC has super weird laws with this stuff, but no liquor store or person can just go to a distillery, purchase whatever at wholesale and then sell it in their store. It has to be bought through a distributor. It's the way the government tracks everything, and just the way it was said in 1933 that it has to be done, and nothing's changed. So same reason why many of you may have heard this, but Buffalo Trace, in order to sell their bourbon at their own gift shop at the distillery, they have to sell it to a distributor, and then the distributor has to sell it back to them, and then they can sell it in their gift shop.
Classic.
So legally, still can't go direct.
There are laws for smaller distilleries where
Yes.
you're allowed to sell X amount of proof gallons per year. And as long as you're under that, you don't have to use a distributor. But Buffalo Trace's gift shop is going to be way, 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 way over that. your smaller distilleries, like we always talk about Whiskey Acres, since I know it well, they never really came close to selling what they could sell, what's considered self distribution. Uh, and the Illinois law had recently changed as well too to allow more. Uh, but yeah, Buffalo Trace, with the amount they sell, like Heaven Hill does the same thing. They have to buy their product from their distributor that they sell it to be able to sell it to you at their store, which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's the old Parks and Rec Ron Swanson, the whatever it happened to. Hey, I have some apples. Would you like them? Yes. That's as complicated as it really needs to be. Like, but someone else needs to make money. There has to be a middleman to make money. So anything that you buy from a store has gone through a distributor. Like Jake said, distributor is in charge of distributing the liquor, so picking it up from the distillery, either housing it in a warehouse and then taking it to the liquor store or the bar or the restaurant. And they're also responsible for selling your product, which they do a phenomenal job. The distributors do a great job of being sales reps for distilleries. Phenomenal job.
Yeah. So the space in Illinois, I mean, this is the side of the business that is just so many moving pieces and changing constantly. Brands are moving around between distributors, and it used to be before I got into the business about 20 years ago, brands could sign with multiple distributors, and you would talk to the distributors and try and negotiate the best price, and you would order from obviously whoever would give you the best price on the product. Now it's very strict that the brands have to just be with one distributor, and that's it. I think maybe there's a few states where you can still be with multiple, but for the most part, and for Illinois at least, you have to be with one distributor. So
there's a little very small nuance for like online distribution and online sales as well.
Yeah, and it all boils down to like how much you're actually selling. If you sell over a certain amount, you have to, officially be with one distributor and whatnot. So Illinois is basically dominated by two very large distributors, Breakthrough Beverage and Southern Glazers Wine and Spirits. Those two have, oh man, I don't even know what the percentage would be, but like off the top of my head, guessing like 75% of all the brands in the state go through those two distributors. And then there's, probably 40 other distributors involved as well that sell the remaining 20 to 25%. So there's two big dominant guys, then there's all the other guys. And like some of them are super tiny and only have a couple products, a couple distilleries. Some of them are a bit bigger and have, 50 distilleries, but a lot of them like will specialize in agave or specialize in Italian wine. So they all have their, little niche that they're specializing in. Now, to transition this into the RNDC thing, RNDC, I believe, is the largest distributor in the country.
I know when you look at them nationwide, they're pretty big.
They're definitely top two. It would be either them or Southern Glazers as the biggest in the country. But what's weird about Illinois is it's one of the only states that RNDC never was in. They were in every other state. They had huge brands like Tito's, Brown-Forman, in all of these other states. And then you look at Illinois, and all of those brands are with either Breakthrough or Southern. And 2 years ago, RNDC came in and bought a small distributor called Heritage Wine Cellars, who was Whiskey Acres. distributor.
Yep.
Dan is super thrilled with them.
I mean, you're never going to be happy with any distributor.
Yeah, you're never. There's huge pros and cons, right? If you're with a Breakthrough or a Southern, they're in every store. They're in every bar and restaurant orders from Breakthrough and Southern. You can't not have Tito's. You can't not have Jack Daniel's, Woodford. Those are just too big of brands to not be in a liquor store or bar. So, if you're a small company and you're with those guys, the upside is you have a salesman going into every single bar or liquor store in the state who can potentially sell your product. But then the downside is they have thousands and thousands of products. What is going to incentivize them to bring up a brand like Whiskey Acres over the 1,000 other bourbon distilleries that they represent? And I'm sure there's much bigger incentives for the sales reps on the bigger name brands to sell those. And there really isn't any of that with the smaller brands. So
yeah, that was kind of like the conversation that's always had at smaller distilleries is, do you go with the bigger guys because they have really good relationships with the stores, but they're going to be more concerned of like after RNDC bought out Heritage, which is who Whiskey Acres was using, RNDC in Illinois got Four Roses. So it's like, are they going to be really trying hard to push 2 cases of Whiskey Acres product, or are they going to push hard to sell 20 cases of Four Roses? Then the other thing is, well, let's just go with a small distributor where we're going to be one of their bigger brands. Well, they don't have as good or not necessarily as much pull in liquor stores as the big brands do. So it's kind of a screwed if you do, screwed if you don't type of situation.
Yeah, I mean, you got to get lucky and just get a big break in one of the, big chain stores, I guess, if you're signing with a big distributor. But if you want to, what's cool is I have brands all the time, because we're very active on LibDib and social media, and LibDib is the loophole where you can order from distilleries that aren't officially distributed in Illinois. And they will sometimes like FedEx the product. But if you're not, so because of that, we're working with a lot of these distilleries before they officially distribute in Illinois. And a lot of them will ask me, what are my recommendations for distributors? And I certainly have a few small guys that I love. And it's really usually, I'm never going to recommend a Breakthrough or Southern. I'll tell them straight up, like, your stuff's not going to get talked about. It might get seen somewhere and some buyer, might ask for it, but they're never going to go out there and actively sell your brand if you're one of their 1,000 brands and you're another small brand. Go with the smaller distributor that actually cares about your product, and it'll be 100 times better in the long run because you're organically growing the brand versus hoping, a Jewel takes a big 100 case drop. That's a great sale that you just made. But if they don't sell through that in a timely manner, they're going to close it out and never bring it back in again. And then nobody in Illinois is going to want to buy your brand because it was on closeout everywhere, and they're not going to want to go pay full price for it now. So if you want to organically grow your brand, a small distributor, it's going to be a much slower build, but you're going to get somebody who actually knows about your brand, who actually cares about your brand, because they might only have 3 whiskey brands to talk to, and they probably have really good relationships with certain bars and liquor stores. We have really, really good relationships with all of our small distributor sales reps, because we're one store, we're family owned, and a lot of them are, small family owned distributors as well. So they got our back.
I'm sure they're more like accessible to you and stuff too, right? Like,
yeah, I mean,
if you have an issue, like, they're willing to communicate and
for sure.
But they also have a lot smaller staffs, and they're trying to serve all of Illinois too.
Yeah.
So I mean,
there's pros and cons both ways. This is such a relationship driven business that depending on who you talk to, they'll have different thoughts and feelings about. Like there's this one small distributor that we absolutely love because our sales rep is, we've known him for 15 years. He's kind of like a family friend now. But if you asked me like, how is their distributor itself, I would tell you, I have no idea. Like I only deal with my sales rep and he's awesome. And he takes care of us. But like if he ever left that distributor, we probably wouldn't order much from this distributor.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's such a relationship business. And the big guys like Breakthrough and Southern have websites where you can go and order product directly, so you don't even need a sales rep. And that's what we do, is we just order online. It's much easier to just search for a product on their website, see all the deals right there and just put in the order, rather than playing phone tag with a sales rep who's going to answer and be like, I'm driving, let me look up pricing, once I get to my next stop. And so
you don't need someone to tell you that Evan Williams is good and you need to have it on your shelf. It's you go, hey, we're low on Evan Williams.
Mm-hmm.
You go to the website, click it in, and it's done. Like,
yeah,
well, they don't need to hire more reps to cover the same amount of stuff.
Yeah,
so,
that's a whole nother story, because we have like 5 sales reps from Breakthrough, 5 sales reps from Southern, and it's just like we never really do much with them. It's all through online for the most part. So yeah, but
so back to the RNDC.
Yeah.
So like that's RNDC is this massive distributor filing for bankruptcy,
and we never like my point of view, I think, is going to be interesting compared to any other state that you talk to, because like I said, they were never a big player in Illinois. They bought Heritage just to get into Illinois, and when they did that, everyone was saying, oh, Brown-Forman and Tito's are all going to go to RNDC now because they're in Illinois, and none of that ever happened. They gained a couple more brands, like Dan said. They gained Four Roses and a couple other things, but they never really took off. And I think they were in this weird transition period between Heritage and RNDC for so long that they never were able to figure things out and get traction. Like they kept all the same employees, but wanted everything done a different way. So I'm not going to have the same perspective as any other state talking about RNDC, because they're looking at them like a Breakthrough or Southern. But this is the largest distributor in the country, or one of 2 that just filed for bankruptcy. They left California like 4 or 5 months ago, which I'm sure was their largest state, or one of their largest states. We found out maybe 2 months ago that they were leaving Illinois and closing doors, and all their brands would be going to other distributors. And then a week ago, this news breaks that RNDC is filing for bankruptcy and closing up shop all across the country.
Yeah, and I mean, there's not going to be there could be some. You're not going to see a lot of changes on the consumer side of things. The bigger thing is going to be for the distilleries that are now having to look for new distribution. Your bigger brands, not going to have a problem, right? Everybody and their mom is going to be fighting to get the big brands that RNDC had in their states to be with them. The issue is going to be for your small craft distilleries, because now it's going to be back to what we talked about earlier. As a small craft distillery, do you just sign on with one of the big guys and know they're not going to probably talk about you at all? Or do you have to find a small person that you feel is going to represent your brand well and hopefully not have a drop in sales in a market that's already struggling to sell alcohol? it's going to be really difficult, I think, for the smaller brands in this.
Yeah, especially because I know when there was a lot of change that happened a couple years ago, where like Kendall Jackson, which is one of the largest distribution wineries in the country, switched to a smaller distributor, and they straight up did not have the warehouse space to hold all the cases that they needed to hold, and just were like renting here, renting there, just to get this product in a warehouse. And that is going to also make it a lot harder on the smaller brands to sign with these smaller distributors. If they're picking up brands like Four Roses needs a home, and if they're not going to go with Breakthrough or Southern, one of the smaller distributors is going to struggle to be able to find a space to hold all that inventory, and they're not going to care about bringing on another small brand if they're struggling for space already. So I think there's a large trickling down effect that is going to take place, and this is, as you said, already on top of a struggling industry. There's already a surplus of whiskey out there now, so I think this is only going to hurt smaller brands and limit on how and where they're going to be able to sell their product.
Yeah. Jake, question I have for you. I was thinking about this, and I'm not sure how this works. Now, obviously, RNDC, I mean, even in Illinois, like we say, they're not very big, but I mean, they probably sell 10% of the alcohol in Illinois.
They're probably like top three, behind Breakthrough or Southern.
Right.
Like they're the biggest, but nowhere near
But
the size of Breakthrough and Southern.
now they're going to file for bankruptcy. They have a big warehouse. They got to sell that product, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now they can put that out at deep discount to get it out of their warehouses, or not deep discount, but they can discount that, right? And then would that then cause an issue of, okay, let's say this distillery was using RNDC, they've now signed a new contract with their new distributor. Their new distributor is not going to have that discount because they got to, because if you're sitting something with a brand on the shelf that you bought at discount through RNDC because they're filing for bankruptcy, they're closing out, they're not going to make the new distributor. The new distributor is not going to be able to sell you a bunch of that same brand at the normal price because you're probably, as a smart business owner, going to buy a bunch at discounted price, which is always a good idea. If you can find a good deal on whiskey out there, or any type of alcohol products from a distributor, you pick up on that and you order as much as you can, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, we know about that.
So the one thing that I'm reading right now from VinePair is it looks like they're trying to sell off all of their assets. So it might be more of an inventory transfer type situation to some buyer in the state rather than a fire sale to liquor stores. So I think that kind of depends on how the bankruptcy proceedings go, but or what they want to do. But yeah, I mean, so I think that's a possibility. Is more of a buyout by a larger.
They're not going to be able to profit nearly as much by selling to another distributor because they're not going to make any money on that.
They're not going to profit at all,
but
they're going to recoup.
But it's a
sell at cost.
They're not going to profit anyway. So
yeah, to kind of tie all that together, when this happens all the time, when a brand, even just when a brand is moving from one distributor to another, the big distributors most of the time will say, screw it, we're going to cut our losses. This brand is leaving us. We're going to slash the price in half, and first come, first served, whatever stores want to buy it can buy it. That definitely hurts the brand in the long run because, like you said, we're going to buy that. We're going to put it on sale at a pretty good price. And then the new distributor is going to come to us and be like, hey, this happens way too many times. They come to us and they're like, we just picked up this brand. It's so exciting. Like, it's going to be the next hot thing. How many cases do you want? And I'm like, well, we just bought a bunch of that exact same thing for $100 cheaper a case because the old distributor was closing it out. Now we put it on sale because we got to move through it, and the brand then falls off and struggles to sell because all these stores put it on sale and move on. So that is one of the ways that they liquidate inventory. The probably the correct way and the better way to do it is a distributor will just come take your inventory at your cost and transfer those cases to their warehouse, which I think is mostly what's happening with RNDC, because I haven't seen any closeouts with them yet. And their brands are already available at different distributors. Not all of them, but a handful of their brands are already moving on to other distributors in Illinois.
Yeah, my guess would be that, I mean, Illinois is, like you said, a different type of case, but like in a normal state where RNDC is like the number one or number two, they would probably come to some sort of sale agreement with another distributor in the state and say, take all of our inventory for X, and then just do
the
straight out
problem
transfer.
with that is if they're that large in those, that distributor that's going to take all that has to have that much cash or that much liquid capital sitting there to be able to do that. To be fair, the distributors have the highest margin in the industry for on the distillery, the liquor store, and the distributor. The biggest,
Crazy.
The person that makes by far and away the most money out of this is the middle of tier of that 3-tier system, which isn't the liquor store or the distillery, which is why no one likes the 3-tier system. But,
yeah. I mean, like I'm not necessarily that they have to sell everything to one distributor either.
So
they can break up their inventory based on where brands are going to go. In the aftermath and stuff like that. So
if you're a brand, you're doing everything you can to get RNDC to sell your product to another distributor at their cost, which RNDC is probably fine with, because if they're gonna move it by fire selling it, they're gonna lose more money doing that than just selling it at cost to the next distributor. And it's a lot less work because they'll just come pick it up and you're done with it, rather than having to distribute it out to 100 different stores. That's if you're a brand, like that's what you want. If you're RNDC, that's what you want. Now the issue that's going to come into play is there's probably a lot of brands that just never really did much in Illinois and are just going to pull out of the state, and that stuff is then going to have to be fire sold. And we're still waiting. We haven't seen much. But again, this is all like they knew this was coming. Like this, we found out, and I'm sure they knew a lot earlier than us, that RNDC was shutting down in Illinois about 50 or 60 days ago. So we've known for a couple months. I'm sure they've known this for 5 or 6 months. And they're watching what they're ordering.
They would have done a little bit of inventory control at that point.
Yeah,
so they're not going to go
so
pick up.
For a little bit of added context, their bankruptcy filing says that RNDC has over 100,000 creditors, assets between $500 million and $1 billion, and liabilities between $1 billion and $10 billion.
I was going to say we should go over some of the numbers.
Really gives you a good idea.
I mean, even if it's $1 billion in assets and $1 billion in liabilities, that's not fantastic. No. But the filing lists the 30 most substantial unsecured claims against the company, which total over $300 million. Which is, kind of an abysmal situation for them.
The other downside of this, obviously economics 101, less competition is bad. Right? So Illinois is not as big, but as Jake said, he thinks roughly 75% is between Southern and Breakthrough. but let's say 10% is RNDC. Now you just lost a big player in the game. So now the two biggest ones are going to get even bigger. Less competition does not help the consumer with prices at all.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I'll add in there is, it depends on how they get broken up and where all the brands go. But I think you're, probably mostly right. The big brands are going to go to the big distributors. Like, there's one's going to go to
Kyle. Can you clip that of Jake saying that I'm mostly right? Just so
mostly right. I'm never going to tell you that you're outright correct.
I know, and that's why I want that saved. Like, that's why I want that.
I will say that I'm impressed at how many brands so far have not gone with Breakthrough or Southern for Illinois. It's a great thing for the state. It's a great thing for the industry here. It's a great thing for us to be able to deal with more distributors rather than having two powerhouses, because they really do control everything. They control pricing. They control who's getting what products. Like, all the allocated stuff is up to the distributors. Brands can tell you what they want and push the distributor to give you more, but at the end of the day, the distributor is the one that chooses where products go. They have full control over that. So it's good to see.
Do you have an example of somebody that went to a smaller distributor?
So I can't think of the parent company, but Planeray Rum, Citadel Gin, Pierre Ferrand Cognac, their company, and Planeray is a pretty big player, went with Romano Beverage, which is definitely one of the smaller, and I would say better out of the smaller distributors. So that was cool. I'm hoping more we don't know where Four Roses is going yet, although I'm assuming they're going with Breakthrough because they got bought by Gallo and all the Gallo stuff is with Breakthrough. So that would just make sense. But there's a lot of brands still that haven't announced where they are going. And it will be very interesting to see. I mean, we're in the thick of it now. We're 2 weeks until RNDC said they're totally done and closed. So it's crunch time for all these brands to find new homes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not easy because, knowing the distillery side, this is who you're trusting to sell your product.
Yeah, and there's a lot of negotiations on margins and promises on where you're going to place the product.
Well, so I'm sure this is prime opportunity for everybody to try and get a little bit of a discount too, and while everything's in flux, right?
And here's the thing we haven't really talked about. I mean, majority of what the pricing you see and how pricing is derived is due to the distributor. Because I can tell you on the distillery side, when you talk to a distributor, you say, "This is how much it costs us to make a bottle, and put this bottle in a box to get to you." And then they say, "Okay, we think we can sell it at this amount." And then you have to negotiate. Does that give you enough profit to be able to continue to run your business and grow your business? And then basically they say, "Okay, here's what we're going to buy your product for. Here's what we're going to sell it to the stores for." And then Jake, as a store owner, has to go, "Well, I need to make profit on this too. Here's what I should sell it for. Is that going to give me enough profit to keep my lights on every day?" And like I joked earlier, the biggest person that makes the highest percentage of profit is the middleman in this. The margins are fairly slim. If you're paying attention to what's going on with the New York grocery stuff, it's not nearly as slim as that, but it's on the very, very low end of the profit you need to run a healthy company.
Yeah, we always say it's a volume driven business.
Yeah.
You need to sell a lot to make some money. The margins are definitely not as large as other retail businesses.
Yeah.
So I can say this because they're closing now. But I've got an example on the pricing thing where it's just why it just doesn't make sense. So Peerless was with RNDC Heritage, who is closing, and they have their regular bourbon and they have their high rye bourbon. And when we were at the distillery talking to Peerless, their regular bourbon is on the shelf at $90, $80 to $90, somewhere in that range. Their high rye bourbon is on the shelf at like $130 to $140. When we were at Peerless talking with them, asking them, why is the high rye bourbon, $40 more, $50 more than your regular bourbon? Does it really cost that much more to make? And they flat out said, no, it costs us like $5 extra a bottle to make. But RNDC just decided they wanted to charge an extra $35 for that bottle. And that's what they wanted to retail it at. And there was nothing we could do. We couldn't push back or argue. They just said, that's what we want to sell this product for. And so they're making an extra $30 to $35 on that product. And that gets reflected in what the consumer is paying, because we have a flat markup that we mark everything up. And that's the price that you see it on the shelf. And there's certain products where if we have to sacrifice too much of our standard markup to get it on the shelf at the right price, we just won't carry it.
Yeah. We won't get into the exact numbers or anything, but if you're used to watching Shark Tank and you see somebody that says, I make this product for $4 and I wholesale it for $8, and then the retailer sells it for $16. Ain't anywhere close to that in this industry.
No.
Ain't anywhere close.
No, it's like the almost as low in the double digits, I think, as you can possibly be.
Yeah. That includes not putting it on sale or offering discounts.
Right.
Which
there's
people
also
get by listening to our podcast.
Yeah, there's also a handful of products that we sell at cost. Like, we do not make any money on it at all. And they're like popular big products. Just because we have to. Like, that's how thin the margins are. If we want to be competitive with all the big chain stores, we have to give up a couple products. And our number 2 selling product that we sell year round is selling at cost.
Bud Light.
Dan's
Tito's.
Well, yeah, Tito's. Mm-hmm. We sell Tito's for
Fireball was
50 cents
Tito's
more
too?
than what we pay for it. Yes, Fireball is number 1.
Yeah.
But pretty much all domestic beer is sold at cost.
Yeah, it's interesting. So again, when you guys listen, and Jake gives out a coupon code to people that listen to the podcast, just know that he likes you and appreciates you for listening so much that he basically is not making any money off you when he offers a discount code. So
I do.
All right, enough with RNDC. Also came out this week, Sazerac again came back to Brown-Forman, again offered $32 per share in cash to buy out Brown-Forman, which equates to about $15 billion, which is what it was a couple of months ago when we talked about this. If you want to know about this, go back, scroll through our feeds, you'll find the title of it. But again, unsolicited, Brown-Forman was not asking for an offer. Sazerac published that they put out this offer for $15 billion to buy Brown-Forman. Brown-Forman has turned it down. So this is now twice Sazerac has offered Brown-Forman a bunch of money. Brown-Forman sales are down as well as everyone else's. So question I have for you guys, why do you think Sazerac seems to have their dick so hard to buy out Brown-Forman right now?
So first off, one of your best transitions of all time.
I'm really
Enough
good
about
at transition.
RNDC. Jump into the next story.
Yeah. There's no smooth one there. We just did.
Would have been smooth if Jake didn't say anything.
Or cough halfway through it.
So, I mean, I think it's obvious. I think it's Jack Daniels and Old Forester and Woodford are like the big draws of Brown-Forman, at least from the whiskey side. I think like that would like complete Sazerac's portfolio to be like easily by far and away the biggest producer in the US for whiskey. And then like, there's so much they could do with Jack Daniels. They could Sazerac the crap out of Jack Daniels and just make infinite SKUs out of everything that Jack Daniels has in their warehouses.
To be fair, I think your Heaven Hill probably has way more SKUs than Sazerac. But
Heaven Hill does. They
do, yeah.
Yeah. They have like over 1,000.
Yeah.
Brands.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But not
brands.
whiskeys.
Brands that they own, not whiskeys. Brands that they own. Not all of them are made at Heaven Hill Distillery.
Yeah.
Most of them are not.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it's obvious why Sazerac wants them, I think.
So I mean, it should be obvious they want it because of Woodford, Foreman, or Forster and Jack.
Well,
why do you think they want
not
that?
necessarily?
I'm kind of on partway on your side, Jake R. Gold Eagle Jake. But Jake R. Why
he hasn't even given his opinion.
I know what he's talking about there. Because he's thinking the exact same way I'm thinking.
Okay, let's hear it.
I mean, I'm thinking, for one, like, all their brands are just going to compete with each other. Like, they're going to take away, there's only you look at Brown-Forman's portfolio, and they have, on the whiskey side, they have Jack, Woodford, and Old Forester. They have a ton of other stuff. Sazerac has a ton of stuff. Like, we're talking hundreds and hundreds of brands, tequilas, liqueurs, things that are all going to compete for shelf space, things that are all going to compete for ingredients in a cocktail. You're basically going to be dominating the market with big whiskey brands, and the only other competition is Suntory.
Yeah.
At that point.
Which I think they would be.
You are thinking the exact same.
Would they be bigger than Suntory if they acquired Brown-Forman? I think they'd be close.
Here's why I think they're doing it. I think it has nothing to do with the U.S.
Well, okay, so that's also.
What you think is just international market domination? I mean, I think that's definitely part of it.
The U.S. I mean, all markets are soft, but especially soft in the U.S. With Jack and Woodford are big. I mean, not that that Buffalo Trace doesn't have worldwide name.
Jack
doesn't have the worldwide name that Jack has.
Every country.
Yeah. It doesn't have the worldwide name that Jim has. Oh, on top of that, Glen Drunick and Glen Glasgow. Like
Glen Glasgow.
Yeah.
I 1000% believe this is an international play.
Yeah.
Knowing that the U.S. whiskey market is soft, they are going for something that they know will never have a problem selling overseas, and that is 1000% Jack Daniels.
I know Jack is the number one global whiskey, right?
American whiskey, I'd say.
American whiskey,
yes. Yeah, American whiskey globally.
Yeah, maybe not. There might be a Scotch that's bigger than them, but yeah, I don't think anybody really competes with Jack on the global stage from an American whiskey.
Yeah, I do think
maybe Jim.
I think that is a major
or Four Roses.
Factor.
Four Roses is pretty.
Four Roses is listed in the top. It's Jack, Jim, Evan Williams, Maker's Mark, Wild Turkey, and Bullet for the highest selling American whiskeys worldwide. Outside of the US.
That's surprising.
Four Roses is big in Japan. I mean, yeah. Because they
Japan.
were owned by a Japanese company. So I
thought that translated globally, but maybe not. That's interesting.
Yeah,
actually, Jim Beam sells more internationally than Jack.
And Sazerac knows they can't touch Jim Beam.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Sazerac can't touch the top 5 right now international. They're behind Bullet in international sales.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, it's Jim, Jack, Evan Williams, Maker's Mark, Wild Turkey, Bullet. So this is 1,000% them staying afloat by going for international sales.
Who owns Makers now?
Centauri.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So, and also, Buffalo Trace knows how much bourbon they're about to have ready to go with all these expansions that they've done. And Sazerac items, Blanton's is famous for being in different colors and different countries, and but it's still like flies off the shelves here, and you can find it in other countries. So they don't have like the same pull that they do here. And I do think, yes, by getting a brand like Jack, now you're instantly in with all of these other distributors and bars and restaurants that carry Jack. And it's like, all right, here we go. Now we got Buffalo Trace. Now we got Blanton's. Now we got some more options for you people.
I haven't checked. I'll pull it up. I'll do what I'm talking. But I wonder, because $32 a share was basically what, when they offered that a while ago, was basically what the market value was for Brown-Forman. I'm not sure.
That was the market value before they like heavily crashed, right?
So as of today, it's still sitting at $29.52. So they're still offering a little above what the stock is trading at today.
So I'm glad you brought that up, because last time we talked about this a couple months ago,
this would have been back in April, because it hit its all-time low in the last 6 months for stock price on March 24th at $22.80 a share.
Right.
And then I can't remember who it was. Someone offered to buy them.
Pernod, I think.
Pernod. And then it jumped to 27 a share. And then Sazerac offered to buy them at $32 a share.
Right.
And it jumped to 30 a share.
Yeah.
27. Since that has fallen, it's been roughly around $26, $27 a share. It's at its highest right now, but this is also, everyone's finding out that 2 days ago they said no. So I'm sure we're going to see it fall off again. So
yeah. So like my question about this, and maybe there's somebody that listens that knows the answer. It's like Brown-Forman's a publicly traded company, but I believe the family still owns a very significant portion of the voting shares and stuff.
Yes.
But I don't know how they get around the like fiduciary responsibility of rejecting this offer when it's clearly
really have a
the
fiduciary.
best.
They're a business. They're not an advisor. They don't have a fiduciary responsibility, I believe.
Well, every publicly traded company has a responsibility to their shareholders to maximize profit. But a buyout significantly over their current share price.
I wouldn't say significantly. It's a couple dollars a share. I mean,
but that adds up.
We're talking like this. Like it's not like $3 billion more than what it's probably worth, but percentage wise, it's not like it's crazy. They're not.
But consider their fluctuation recently too. Like, I don't know. To me, it's strange to me that they're rejecting the offer and there's no sort of blowback on them. Like, maybe it'll come up in like the next shareholder meeting or something. But like, again, I don't think I think the family can kind of downvote anything that they don't
they have a
want to
controlling
do.
stake in the company, so at the end of the day, they have final say.
But I mean, I don't know. That's one of those things that I'm not like super familiar with. Is that type of corporate or like publicly traded law. So if any listeners understand that and want to enlighten us on like why they're able to reject,
just Jake. I don't
fuck you. You don't know either.
I don't give a shit. There's a difference.
I do, because I think it's interesting that they're like they're rejecting this huge buyout. Like, and there's like no repercussion. Like I don't know. I think that's interesting.
No, they don't want to sell. They enjoy what they do.
Yeah,
They want to keep going.
But like it's a different dimension when it's a publicly traded company, though. Like
It'd be
they have to.
I mean,
they're supposed to act in the best interest of their shareholders. I know it's like a little bit of a different situation because they own the majority of the family owns the majority of the company. But like,
I mean,
I don't know.
looking at their all-time high in their last 5 years, August 19th, 2022, they were trading at $77.24 a share, which is more than double what Sazerac's offering for them now.
true.
Well,
So we
was
could
that?
say
What year was that?
2022.
August 19th, 2022 was their highest in the last 5 years.
I mean, the whole industry's fallen off.
Yeah, but they could say it's a market dip for a couple. Like Jake R or like Gold Eagle Jake always says.
Don't try and pin it on
I know. I'm sorry. Like Gold Eagle Jake, it's just like a little slowdown. It'll come back up. It hasn't.
It is. Eventually it will.
So maybe they're telling their shareholders, hey, when this goes back up to $77 a share, you're going to be glad we didn't sell.
Mm-hmm. So what was the? So I mean, we talked about this in the Four Roses buyout. What was the big buyout right before Four Roses that we compared it to? Because Four Roses was how much? $1 billion?
Just under or right at.
I thought it was 1.2.
And the previous acquisition, like one of the bigger previous acquisitions, was I think Wild Turkey, right? And it was like ridiculous.
Yeah,
it was Four Roses was actually a pretty good deal, all things considered.
Yeah, I think Four Roses was a great deal.
Yeah.
So
because Wild Turkey was like billions and billions, like it was a lot, if I'm remembering right. If you can find that, Dan. But I think like
775 million was the Four Roses, so it was just under $1 billion.
Yeah, which is crazy. We talked about how Penelope sold for like 200 million and Wilderness Trail sold for 300 million.
Yeah, but Turkey was a lot.
Wild Turkey sold in 2009
Turkey's a
for
big
$581.
brand.
That was a while ago.
Yeah, that was a while back. Like that's a lot. I think that's a lot for back then.
Yeah,
and
they're also that's 2009. That's pre-boom.
Yeah, they're also a big international.
I'm thinking of something else then. I can't remember.
So you think about it, but to touch back on the Brown-Forman thing, I do think the main reason is to get more international, get into more international markets for their other products. But the other thing that's interesting about Brown-Forman is you look at Sazerac and they have hundreds of brands. They have 100, they have really good brands. They have crappy brands. And I'm not talking Fireball. I'm talking like crap that like nobody wants, like Mango Shada, stuff like that. Like they just bought Buzzball.
Buzzball.
They have a ton of just like weird brands, 99 schnapps, and a ton of liqueurs. Brown-Forman is, I think, the anomaly with these major companies because they don't have a ton of brands. They have maybe 12 to 15 brands, but they're all really, really solid brands. They're all brands that sell very well. They're all brands that we carry. So I think Sazerac, kind of went on a spree the last couple of years, just buying up all these small brands. And now they're realizing, all right, like this is a lot of work to manage all these hundreds of different brands, and our sales reps are getting confused and we're getting confused. Like, look at this company that can get us into more international markets and have just 12 brands that we can focus on that are just really, really solid brands. And I'm just going to name them really quick because there's not that many. Jack Daniels, Woodford, Old Forester, Glen Glasgow, Slane Irish Whiskey, Ben Riach, Glendronach, tequila, they have Herradura and El Jimador. Rum, they have Diplomatico. Gin, they have Ford's Gin and Gin Mar. And then liqueurs, they have Chambord. So they have, 1 to 3, maybe 4 of each category, and they're all very, very solid items.
I didn't know they had Glendronach. That's interesting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So
One of the best out there, folks.
Thanks
Check
for
it
paying
out.
attention when I said that earlier. Appreciate it.
yeah, he did.
You did not say
But
that. You
yes,
said
he
Glenn
did.
Glassow.
Kyle, clip it.
No, he did not say that. He
Yes,
said Glenn Glassow.
no, he said both. He said both.
No,
But
I don't pay attention when he talks.
So a handful of like really, really solid brands, I think. Sazerac's kind of doing the thing where, hey, let's just buy up all these brands. Let's see what turns into our next fireball. Like, what will be our next big boom? And that's a lot of work to manage all those brands. Now we can just focus on 12 established, really, really solid brands. They know what they're doing to take a good brand and make it phenomenal. And I think they're also trying to look and do that. Like what you said, Jake, earlier with Jack Daniels, is they could play around and have so much fun with that inventory and come up with all these new Jack Daniels SKUs that will then turn allocated and blah, blah, blah.
They would ruin Jack Daniels.
I don't think they would
saying.
change. I don't think they'd change Jack Daniels at all.
No, for sure they would introduce like
they
10
would extend
new Jack Daniels SKUs.
Mm-hmm.
Would you be upset about that, considering what we've tasted from new SKUs over the last few years from Jack Daniels?
Yes.
I would never be upset about new whiskey.
Well, it
coming
depends
out
on
from
what it is.
established
But
distilleries.
I'm super.
You hate Sazerac so much that
no, I don't
will
hate Sazerac.
deny wanting more.
No, I hate
stuff
the way
like Jack
Sazerac
Daniels.
operates, but I don't hate their products.
They make money. They make money and they give good products. So why would you hate them? And they sell it at a good price.
Because
Most stuff
they
sell
do
at a
this
decent
like
price.
SKU extension bullshit. But
Again,
Jack,
way less than heaven knows.
I'm upset with Jack because they didn't give us these SKUs like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Now that they are giving us these SKUs, I'm like super happy because it's awesome that they're giving us the 10, 12, 14, whatever other age stated Jacks, the bonded rye. Like I think that's all like really good. I think if Sazerac got their hands on them, it would be like they would double the number of SKUs like overnight for no reason other than to just deplete the available inventory and increase demand, which is, in my opinion, not the best way to
Just the guy who
reward
always
your
wants to run out and
consumers.
buy the newest thing from all these distilleries.
Huh?
What?
I can't hear you because you're talking so soft.
I says the guy who always wants to buy out or run out and buy the newest thing from a distillery.
I mean, I didn't buy Weller Millennium.
Good job. You didn't buy a bottle of whiskey that was overpriced by $6,500. You know what, Jake? I'm very proud of you for that. All right.
$500 would have been the stretch for that bottle. Just saying.
All right. Well, we know we're getting to the end of the episode because, again, as we talked about it earlier, liquor stores work on small margins and Jake can't afford lights. Gold Eagle Jake, if people want to come and buy some whiskey from a wonderful place, where can they do that at?
Come visit us in Libertyville or go to goldeaglewine.com. Download our app on the Apple App Store or Google Play Store and shop online for delivery, pickup, or shipping. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at Gold Eagle Wine to see the latest drops, and Facebook at Gold Eagle Spirits. And thank you for all the support. Really appreciate it. Small family-owned business versus these large publicly traded conglomerates we've been talking about.
And Jake, if people want to listen to, again, probably would have been April-ish when we first originally started talking about the Brown-Forman, people pursuing Brown-Forman. Other episodes, follow us and see what we do. So they might be able to win a chance to come and do a barrel pick with us. How can people find out about that?
Yeah, you can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or any other podcast platform. You can watch us on Spotify and YouTube. I do want to just address that. I think it was 2 episodes, maybe 2 or 3 episodes ago. There was a bunch of wind noise because Jake was out on his patio. Sorry.
Oh, is it that much?
I don't know. There were like 5 comments that were like, "What's all this noise?"
5
So-
comments. That's probably the most comments we've ever gotten on a thing.
Honestly,
Jake, so.
it
Well,
was.
maybe I should go back out there.
It's like-
But it wasn't actually the wind. It was the fan that I had going.
It might have been that. But like,
Because
I didn't
Guys,
I've
hear it
recorded
when
out
I
there
was-
before.
Please shop at Gold Eagle so Jake can afford lights and air conditioning. Please.
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to record on my deck tonight, and I was like, oh god, if I get another
I mean,
barrage
I don't
of
know.
comments like, what are all these birds chirping or whatever?
I did-
Hey.
When,
Birds are fine because Marlene Holmes had
I know,
birds
that was
chirping
awesome.
in the background, and that was beautiful.
the other episode I recorded out there without the fan was fine.
Yeah, it was fine.
It was the
I just
fan.
didn't hear it when I was.
We couldn't.
putting the
You guys
episode
couldn't
together.
hear it. Like I asked you before we started recording if you could hear this, and it was no. And then all of a sudden on the recording, you could hear it. But going forward, I will not use the fan. If I get another nice night, I will be recording out there. It's been too hot.
Yeah, I want to come over and have a cigar one night when we record.
Absolutely should.
All
Make
right.
Dan feel jealous.
Mm-hmm.
Not at all. All right, guys. That was fun.
All right.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Wow, that was abrupt. Cheers.